What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unhinged Talk. As usual, I'm your host, Patrick Hennessy, joined tonight by the man himself, Patiski Vizina-Fontos. How are we doing tonight?
I'm good, man. Happy New Year to everyone watching. How you doing?
Happy New Year, 2021. However, Aaron Boone is still the Yankees manager. Listen, this is a very controversial topic. You got some people out there who love Aaron Boone with all their heart. You got some people out there who hate Aaron Boone with all of his heart. I'm gonna try to go this route tonight, being as impartial as I could possibly be, unbiased. So let me just preface this a little bit. 2017, Joe Girardi leads the Yankees Game 7 of the ALCS. No one expected that team to go that far. You could definitely say that they overachieved. Following offseason, Joe's gone. Aaron Boone replaces him. The past 3 seasons, I think that this is an unbiased perspective. The Yankees have not been as good with a better team. Now, if that makes sense, the Yankees have definitely had better teams in 2018, 2019, and 2020 than they had in 2017, but they still have not even made it to Game 7 of the ALCS or further than that. So I think the question has to be arisen now, especially after an extremely disappointing 2020. When the Yankees were kind of World Series favorites going into the year, I think the question does come up. When does Aaron Boone get on the hot seat? Because I know this offseason and even during the season, we heard Brian Cashman say, listen, we want Boone for another 10 years. We would love him as our manager for another 10 years, which I think is a very interesting comment. But before we even get into that stuff, what do you think about Boone's time as Yankees manager the past 3 years?
I mean, when you look at a lineup from start to finish, when you have guys like Gleyber Torres, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, and key pickups you had in Luke Voigt, and then you had DJ LeMahieu. If you haven't even reached the World Series in 3 years, regardless of who's the manager for the Yankees, no matter, they can lead them to the playoffs, fine. But the problem I have with Boone, and in the last 3 years, they have been disappointments because they made it to the ALDS, and yeah, they made it to the ALCS last year, but they had that injury bug. Yeah, you can't put the injuries on Boone, but there's key situations where you could have told the players you need to sit out, this and that, but Boone has been a disappointment of a manager in his last 3 years. And
Sure.
and the sad part is a majority of the reason why Joe Girardi got fired back at the end of the 2017 season is because he criticized Gary Sanchez, the organization's guy.
Yeah.
But with Boone, he treats him like everybody, like he's their best friend. And when you have a guy who doesn't get on top of his players for playing terribly, for making errors, for just the Yankees say they have the determination to win a championship. They're always focused, but if you were, you wouldn't really just be laid back and think, oh, we're the Yankees. We have the best lineup, and we had Garrett Cole. We're going to make the playoffs every year. Yeah, you made the playoffs, but you haven't showed up in the playoffs. That's the sad part.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is, like, I think we all know, I have been one of the most vocally critical people of Aaron Boone in the entire world. Now, obviously, I could say a lot of that does just come from frustration in the moment. Looking back, is Aaron Boone the worst manager of all time? No. But also, on the flip side of things, do I think that he's a good manager? And the answer to that is no. I don't think that Aaron Boone is necessarily the right fit for this Yankees team. However, back in 2018, when the Yankees did hire him, I was optimistic, thinking this is a young manager coming into a young team. Maybe this will be a good fit. Maybe the Yankees do need a friend as a manager. But looking back on it, I think that it is kind of a mistake. I think a manager of a baseball team should be like an authoritative kind of presence to light a fire underneath the guys. And I don't think Boone is necessarily that guy. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the Yankees, well, the players on the Yankees are the type of guys who can play with a fire without being it lit underneath them. Because we've seen that they just can't light a fire underneath them without someone else kicking them in the ass. We saw this past season, Brian Cashman had to travel to when the Yankees played with the Blue Jays because they just couldn't get anything done. And the fact that Aaron Boone couldn't be that guy and Cashman had to step in, it says a lot because the last time he had to do that was what, 2009, I believe. So, listen, I don't know. We don't know what goes on in the clubhouse exactly. We can only assume. And based on our assumptions, we can assume that Boone sets a tone in the clubhouse that rewards players even if they don't play up to their potential. I mean, we saw it with Gary Sanchez recently. He came out and he said he doesn't know why he was benched. Now, that leads me to believe one of two things. One, Gary Sanchez is just oblivious to life and he doesn't understand that poor play equals benching. Or looking on the other side of things, it can come from the manager and the fact that maybe Boone or the organization itself sets a tone in the clubhouse where they don't force on the players the idea that if you don't play well, your job's not secure. I feel like they need to enforce this more and make players realize if you want to keep your starting job, you need to actually play well. Because Gary Sanchez needs to realize just because he's been the guy the past few years, if he plays poorly, Aaron Boone needs to let him know that it's just not tolerated. And we will replace you with Kyle Higashioka, you know?
And when they say, "Oh yeah, Aaron Boone, he's always on top of his players," don't you remember that Savage is in the box? To be honest with you, Aaron Boone put a disgrace to the Savages in the box because at that moment we all thought, "Oh look, he's finally not being the friendly guy. He's actually giving it to the umpire and sticking up for his players. He's actually showing his authoritative figure." And then what do we find out this past season? He admitted that he actually called that umpire and apologized for his behavior. Like that's something you won't see Billy Martin doing or even Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi got tossed out
Yeah.
maybe 10 plus times each season.
Yeah.
And he
No, I
wasn't the
mean,
player's best friend. So the sad part is you have guys in that lineup who can produce and hit, but if they're struggling and they're not being told you need to play to your potential, you're absolutely playing like dog crap right now. If
yeah.
Aaron Boone's just comforting and say, "Don't worry, sport, you'll get it tomorrow," and they don't, and they're gonna keep that mentality like, "Hey, whether if I struggle or not, they're not gonna care." And then when
Yeah.
Cashman, like you said, when Cashman got into that picture in Toronto, you saw that team fired up the next night. So
Yeah, I mean, my thing is though, like, it's easy for us to say that Boone does go into the clubhouse and say, yeah, like, even if they lose 15-1, like, good job, sport. Like, we don't exactly know that that's what he says. So I don't want to put words in his mouth, but we
yeah,
can make
you're
an
right.
assumption that it is like a lackadaisical kind of environment. I mean, but it's also the fact that, listen, I'm all to giving guys like chances in my own mind because, like, I was very open to the idea of Boone when he first came in, just like I said. And 2018, he was not a very good manager. I think that was evident, but we knew that going into it. He was a rookie manager, zero coaching experience in his entire career. I mean, we knew that there were going to be struggles and there were going to be rookie speed bumps. But then 2019, I feel like he kind of turned a corner a little bit. I didn't think that Aaron Boone was putrid in 2019, as bad as he was in 2020. 2020 was a landmark for Aaron Boone, as in, I didn't think that he was going to be able to regress that much in 1 year. Now, obviously, you could say the players didn't play up to their potential and they had a lot of injuries. Sure. But unfortunately, when you take the role as the manager, the player's performance falls on you all the time. Just like if you're the president of a company, even though maybe it's not your sector that's doing poorly, you're still going to take the blame for all of it. And
Yep.
unfortunately, that's where Aaron Boone is right now. And listen, it's not like he's a perfect manager. We saw numerous instances in 2020
Yep.
where there were boneheaded decisions, and it was clear that even in the ALDS, he was very clearly outmanaged by Kevin Cash. Game 5 at its finest, we saw some awful decisions. I mean, two that come off the top of my head. We're talking about bringing in Aroldis Chapman in the 7th inning, knowing that in the 8th inning, the Rays had their 3 biggest right-handed hitters coming
Yep.
up. Absolutely boneheaded decision. Now, I don't know if that comes from maybe Cashman too. I mean, it goes back to Cashman. The fact that the Yankees didn't have enough depth in that bullpen either, where Boone felt like he had to go to Chapman in the 7th. But then also, the second move in that game 5 of the ALDS that I think is completely boneheaded was bringing in Mike Ford to pinch hit. Like, and then knowing that you're bringing Mike Ford to pinch hit for Higashioka, that you have to bring in Gary Sanchez for defense later on in that ALDS game 5. So all these decisions mixed together, it really made me think going into this offseason that Aaron Boone could potentially be on the hot seat, and he clearly wasn't, based on Brian Cashman's thoughts. And honestly, I kind of thought that because he did have an option in his contract, and I
Yeah.
believe the Yankees did quietly pick it up, but
They
big
won't
but
come out
here.
and say it. But
Big
if
wait,
you're
wait. One more thing about his contract. Huge butt, huge butt. I think that it says a lot that even though Brian Cashman did say he wants Aaron Boone as his manager for the next 10 years, I think it is a huge thing to acknowledge that they didn't give him an extension. They just picked up his option. So if they were really as set on Boone as they say they are, they would have given this man an extension this offseason and not just picked up his contract for one more year because his contract is up at the end of next season.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if the Yankees do have another disappointing year if Aaron Boone is gone.
I'll say this about Aaron Boone. He may not be the best manager for the Yankees position, but deep down, the guy's a nice guy. He's
Sure.
one of those people. He's always been a friendly guy. He was a great broadcaster, this and that. But it's to the point where if the Yankees don't make it to the World Series in 2021, you got to reconsider everything. You can't just depend on the young guys to come out and perform from the minor leagues. It's to the point where Hal and Brian need to come together and say, we need to spend the big bucks on key players. Like, don't give max contracts to guys 32 and up, other than DJ LeMahieu, but our rotation needs help badly.
Yeah.
Our bullpen needs help badly. And we could use another couple of clutch hitters in the lineup. But it's to the point where if Hal and Brian haven't really come together after the last 3 years and say we need to spend some big bucks and stop relying on our minor league system, like 2017, you had the young guys to come up and do what they had to.
Yeah.
But our minor league system has been digressing in the last couple of years. A lot of the guys you brought up, you're making them lose their confidence. One guy who for sure lost his confidence, in my opinion, is Devi Garcia. When you bring up a rookie to start a playoff game and you only pitch him for half an inning to bring in a veteran guy at 38 years old, that goes to show, do you not trust him?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's why I do think that it's on the organization as a whole. And going into this next season here, if the Yankees don't make any moves this offseason, if all they do is re-sign DJ, for example, and they leave the rotation as is, they leave the bullpen as is, and they still don't at least make it to the World Series in 2021, I can't blame that on Aaron Boone because the Yankees are not supplying him with a team that is capable enough of winning a World Series. Because you look at this team on paper right now, and the number two is either Devi Garcia or Domingo Herman. That's not a rotation that's going to bring you a World Series title. And listen, as hard as Aaron Boone I want to get, it's impossible to do that if he doesn't have the tools necessary to win a World Series. That's why I can get on him for 2018, 2019, and even part of 2020 because he did have teams that were capable of winning a World Series. But if we're going into 2021 with this roster, it's going to be tough to keep knocking on the guy, only because the Yankees need to finally, like you said, Cashman, Hal, they need to do something. Can't just sit on their hands and wait for DJ LeMahieu to sign because it's a really bad idea. And to wait for him and only him is troubling in itself. Replace guys like Nick Nelson. Get solidified veteran bullpen arms. Don't rely on guys like Michael King to get you starts. Get a Corey Kluber, get a Taijuan Walker, get someone who you know is going to get you some consistent veteran innings. And that's really the bottom line. I think at the end of the day, the question that we really need to answer here, and what I think we have answered, is Aaron Boone on the hot seat? I'm going to say right now, no.
No. Mm-mm.
But at the end of the season, we have a completely different story in our hands, especially considering his contract will be up. I think you can agree the same way.
Yeah, I'm not going to be. Yeah, the guy has struggled with his team. Like, he's made terrible decisions and he's been their friend. But deep down, I feel like if they give him enough more competitive players and he just loosens up and blames them for their struggles, like be on top of them, I think he can be a great manager. There's a lot of managers who start off terrible in their first 3 or 4 years, but if they give him a team and they let him make the decisions instead of coming in from the front office, he can really develop into a solid manager. He won't be the best of the best, but he'll be right there. And honestly, I know I'm going to get a little off topic. I just want to mention something about DJ LeMahieu. If another team comes forward and offers DJ 5 years and gives him the money he wants, he's going to ask the Yankees, are you going to give me this money or not? Because the season's starting in a couple months, and DJ, I don't think, is going to wait on the Yankees forever to give him what he wants.
I mean, I think last time he was a free agent, he signed in February. So I don't think it's a crazy idea to think he's going to sign a little bit late. But yeah, I think that's a topic for a different day. That is going to wrap things up for us tonight. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're posting, I think, 2 podcasts a week, going live 3 times a week. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/unhinged New York. I'm going on there live every single day. So stay tuned for all that stuff. Appreciate all you guys for sticking around. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. Have faith in Aaron Boone. Have faith in the Yankees. Have a good night, everybody.